Hello, World Civ Civilization 107 class. Welcome to week 4. So listen, we are actually getting close to the end of this summer session. It's really happening. So things are moving fast. If you have been able to keep up this far, you need to pat yourself on the back, congratulate yourself, and realize that you're really, it's no small accomplishment to keep up with all of this. Now, for those of you who are not keeping up, don't beat up yourself too much. Don't be too hard on yourself. It is very difficult. I've been mentioning this in announcements in both of my other summer classes, that I took summer classes when I was a student. Some of them I succeeded in, others I dropped. Life happens and they're very difficult to keep up with. But for those of you who are getting behind, why don't you communicate with me more soon, and let's just try to figure out what to do. I do work at my other job for the next 4 days, and I work 8-hour days at the other job. So it's going to be a little bit tricky, but contact me, send me messages, and I'll try my best to contact you, and then I'll be able to talk on Saturday. And next week, I am going to just be working strictly on my online classes, and I'll be available to talk to all of you. The only thing is that we're actually coming to the end of this class, so you want to try to start catching up as soon as possible and talking to me as soon as possible if you're getting behind. So that's just what I want to say about that. And then with the papers, works cited, I just need to make this a little extra clear. A lot of you are doing them well, and you've looked at my examples on the announcements before, but some of you are seeing that I have the works cited after direct quotes, and I should have put an example to show where the works cited is there without direct quotes, because that's just a coincidental accident in a sense. I kind of thought also it was understood that every time you write a paragraph, wherever you're getting that information from, even if you just paraphrase, meaning you write in your own words, if you got it from a crash course on Haiti or whatever, or from the textbook or from my lecture, right after you're done with that thought, ideally a paragraph, doesn't have to be after every sentence, of course, but you would then put the works cited there. That is a very fundamental thing to understand. That's super fundamental to any history paper in college. And this is why, even though I'm not cracking down hard on this being too academic, there's this kind of standard that I gotta get you guys to speed on. There has to be dates covering time periods, and there must be works cited after you write a section in the paper indicating where that information came from. And I just want to remind you also that in college, at universities, that different fields use different types of works cited methods. I gave you the example of what I want, just showing you within the examples in the announcement that I made in the past. But normally in a history class, we'd use works cited in a footnote. The footnote style would be used from works cited, would be from Chicago style. Sorry. And I'm not requiring you to do that. I just want to make you all aware of this. If you're a psych major, you're going to be using a different works cited system when you transfer. And I believe English department uses something else. MLA, I never used MLA at UC Santa Cruz or Stan State when I went to undergraduate school for history and the graduate school. Okay, we just use Chicago style. So just making you aware of that. All right, having said that, we are getting into some really heavy, significant material. I hope that you are all actually seeing how important it is learning world history. We're seeing events taking place in Haiti right now. There's the rise of China. We're looking at World War I and World War II, and now you're seeing the world aspect of it. And, looking at the Soviet Union and understanding Leninism and Stalinism and Maoism and all these different things, I just want you to understand how important it is to know about this information, regardless of what your feelings are about how good or bad they are. I think that we live in a country where it is hyper anti-socialist as a culture, even though we're being told that socialism is everywhere. You have to understand something. I was in Europe for 3 months. We are the least socialist out of Western civilization in countries. We're the only country that does not have universal health care. Every other Western country does. And we've never had a large communist party, but we've had a huge amount of memberships in the KKK historically. Now, I'm not saying that there wasn't some strong influence that the Communist Party and other socialist groups were able to have. But ultimately, I mean, we've had up to 4 million members around at one point that were members of the KKK. We had a blockbuster film celebrating the KKK and the birth of the nation that was even shown in the White House with Woodrow Wilson. We did not have even FDR, who brought in so many kind of aspects of socialism into the New Deal, being, I think at that time when he was around, it was like the Communist Party was 60,000 membership strong. Nothing compared to some of the other trends. And so, yeah, despite the fact that there is a rising interest in socialism in America now, I mean, compared to Western Europe and Northern Europe, it's very little. When I was in Europe, everybody talked about how Bernie Sanders was a normal bread and butter, light leftist politician in Europe, and that Hillary Clinton would be considered right wing. And they were referring to the economic policies, by the way, specifically. So that's just kind of something interesting to think about. And also, I just want to say this one last thing, and then I'm going to go ahead and go. Here we also get this tendency that everything that's authoritarian gets called by conservatives socialism, and people on the left here in the United States, it gets called fascism. But that's an oversimplification and just often false about a lot of the times those terms are being dropped. I stayed for 9 months in countries that all would be considered authoritarian within Asia. Some came out of were governments that were officially anti-socialist and were always that way. Other authoritarian regimes came out of communist or socialist contexts. And I guess what I'm saying is that some were basically anti-socialist and some were socialist traditions, and they were still authoritarian. And these terms, the bottom line is that authoritarianism can be under any kind of system. And we're going to learn more about that and have more of a discussion a little bit later on in this class. I just think that we need to get rid of oversimplified views about how the world works and these kind of ism terms that get thrown around. Anyways, having said that, if you have any questions or challenges for me, if you do want to challenge anything that I bring up, have any thoughts, please do. I told you I'm busy, but I would like to try to answer anything or engage if need be. Have a great week. I hope you're all doing well. We'll be in touch.